Go ahead. Go ahead. No, no, now I've got you on it. Uh, I am gonna show a little bit of a clip, but there's not gonna be any sound to it. I was gonna bring up the whole discussion with you and Dominic Stuckey during the last stream. Yeah, yeah. yeah, I hate to say it, but I think I'm gonna kind of put him on the spot tonight with that too. Um, all right, here, let's go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and get the stream started, and we're gonna get going here. All right, you ready? Cool. Hmm. Make sure everything's up and running. Let's get going here. Awesome. Cool beans, cool beans. Everything's up and going. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Dakota Smith, and welcome to Ginger Pro Talk today. It is awesome for everyone that is going to be joining us today. And just to say, this is a completely interactive show. That's right, a completely interactive show where you, yes, you, the guest that's sitting in chat, can ask questions as well towards my guests. I will make sure to bring up everybody's questions as quickly and as timely as possible. But I really appreciate for everyone that is watching today. Just so you know, this channel is supported by a bunch of different ways. One of those is if you simply hit the follow button on the page. You can also subscribe to our channel, which provides us a lot of monetary help as well to keep continuing to bring more content like this every time. And also, the other big thing is we are sponsored by W Energy. W Energy is our sponsor, where you can get a clean pre-workout or pretty much energy drink combination. You can use our code DWA for life exclamation point to get 10% off at checkout when you purchase at W.GG. I strongly recommend W because it provides no jitters. It is a natural blend, and it's a great way to stay energized and focused regardless of what you're doing. Today's guest is, well, someone I wanted to talk to because he came to talk to me, and he was like, dude, I love your show. I want to get on. I want to talk to you. And I was like, hell yeah, you come talk to me. I got a spot for you. And ladies and gentlemen, let me jump over to him right now. I can see him smiling on camera. I can't wait for y'all to see that smile too. Let's jump over and talk with our guest. Hello, Troy. How are you today, my friend? Yeah, it's crazy. We won't get one here. We won't get another one here in the States until like 2045. You can go see one in 2024 if you want to go travel to like Spain or something like that. But I mean, a little pricey if you know what I mean. Troy, it's awesome that I get to have you as a guest today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come talk to me today. I'm sorry if I've got your little title wrong on there. I misheard. I misheard it, and I thought I heard him say he was the true athlete, but in reality, he is the educated athlete. That is my bad, guys. Y'all should still go follow him on Instagram. Troy, if you can, for everyone here, can you take a minute to talk about yourself, how you even got into professional wrestling? Just give us the rundown bio for you today. Mm. So I gotta ask. That's crazy. Wow, that is crazy to hear. So I gotta ask. I mean, what happened that day? Like, you guys are. Did they tell you you guys were gonna do a steel cage match, or was it like you guys decided to do it, or how did that work? So you went from basically doing backyard wrestling where you're not trained, probably put into, I mean, some would probably say a dangerous situation, taking two untrained guys, putting them in a ring like that. And, you went through a bout of depression, like you're saying, and then you get into WWA 4. I mean, what was that like, going from something where you're not trained to now you're going to a school where I know Fox is very big on training and making sure that you built up. What was that like going into the A4? Well, let me ask this then, because I normally wait till the end to ask, but go ahead and ask this now. I mean, what would you say to someone who wanted to get into a professional wrestling school? What they need to be prepared for? I know you're saying that if you have an athletic background, there's still some stuff that might slow you down, but any other advice for anyone who would want to get into wrestling training at all? So cardio, cardio, cardio. Which, yeah, I feel like you do see that where I imagine you probably saw your share of guys who came in who probably might have missed a day at the gym, might have been like, put off a day from running or something like that, and it caught up to him in the end. Um, I gotta ask this, Troy. You know, training with everyone at the A4, what's that community like? Like, what's it like to be able to work with a lot of these guys who I've always heard there's a good mix of like guys who are trained, who are kind of getting up there, and then there's guys that are, just new into this. What is that community like? Explain what a wrestling school community is like. So it does. It always seems like you guys have good brotherly love for each other, and it's a strong, healthy competition. Well, healthy some of the time. Uh, healthy some of the time, but speaking on like, wow, that's an amazing graduating class. I know you said you're missing somebody, but you got Keelan, who he's currently got the WWA 4 belt right now. Yaki's doing stuff all over the place. I mean, I saw him at GCW this past uh, WrestleMania weekend. He was doing a bunch of stuff with them. So then I got to ask, seeing these guys performing at these places and seeing these guys here at that level, I got to ask you, Troy, is what what do you hope that you're going to be able to achieve getting into professional wrestling? I know you said you had your premiere back in November, but what is that end goal for you? What do you hope that you can achieve by being a part of this and being a professional wrestling athlete? Yeah, you definitely. I keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it even now. It feels like we're in a wrestling renaissance. We have a lot of different artists and basically all these guys who are now starting to show up on other brands that you didn't even think would show up on other brands. I mean, you had WWE guys showing up at GCW's, Bloodsport event, Shayna Baszler and a couple of NXT guys. I mean, it kind of does, it blows your mind a little bit that we get this chance to see a lot of love for the indies. And I kind of add that to the fact that, especially with the regime change in WWE, they're starting to understand that guys like you who train hard, who go to these schools, who take their time to go travel around the world, and they actually get the experience, and you're already crafted and molded by the time you come to them, so they don't really have to teach you much. Maybe they'll show you their style or bring a couple things to your playbook, but other than that, you have the training, you're ready to go, and they can get you packaged in whatever way is possible. um and you're talking about being a TNA kid. It's crazy. I do too. I missed that set as well too. When they said they were bringing TNA back, I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna have the double entrances again! Yay! I can't wait. But I gotta ask this. Okay, let's shoot about this about TNA for a minute. What was your Who was your favorite person to be on TNA, and why were they your favorite person? And then I'm gonna ask you, what was your favorite moment from TNA that kind of drew you more into professional wrestling? Yeah. Uh, 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 uh. Yeah, I mean that's Christopher Daniels, AJ Styles, basically the X division, realistically the cruiserweights. I mean, if we're being honest about it, making the cruiserweight division what they are even today. Um, trying to move through it a little bit, but I want to transition to you. Me kind of had this little bit of a discussion, and I actually enjoyed it a lot. You were you were talking to me about Easter Sunday because that's when Match Madness had happened. You talking about going to Easter service. I had gone to Easter service earlier that day, and you started talking to me about your time at your church, and you were even trying to invite me to come to your church, and I felt so happy that I could see that, and I want to ask you about that. You know, having faith in religion and pro wrestling, how has that worked for you? How have you had any instances where you felt like you were a little pressured by some stuff in pro wrestling to make you kind of go against your faith? Or do you feel like thanks to pro wrestling, it's helped your faith more? And how do you want to keep this a part of your personality as you continue on? Do you do you feel like that helped? You're talking about that you'd had some little bit of depression, bouts of depression and everything. Do you feel like that's a good support network for anyone that does need that kind of help to be able to reach out to the church and kind of talk with whoever you need to? Besides the church being a good support network, who else do you rely on to talk to in case of like issues where you're feeling depressed or you're having this bout of depression? Yeah, I don't mean to harp on it too much, but like with mental health and everything, I think a lot of people forget that, even though you guys are performing and you guys look happy on camera or wherever they see you guys performing at, that doesn't mean that you guys have your own stress, you don't have your own worries, you don't have your own anxieties about what's going on in your life. And it's good to hear, it's always good to hear that you have a good support network and you have people that you can talk to and be like, "Hey, look, just, it's a two-way street. If you've got something going on, or if I've got something going on, I really want to have this communication so that way we don't ever have bad situations." And we've seen that in the wrestling community. Unfortunately, we have seen that where some people have had mental health issues and they've had to step away, but they've had to do something to help themselves, be able to, fix whatever's going on. Not really fix, but try to find a way to cope or deal with it in their own way. And that's perfectly understandable. Um, Going back to Match Madness, I know you had that awesome match with Neji Ichiban and didn't didn't get the win, and that's, hey, look, it's tough, stuff happens and everything. Can you talk to us a little bit about that match and something else I wanted to talk to you about, and we can bring it up in a second, but talk to us about that match, how you felt throughout that match, and do you want to step in the ring with Neji again in the future? So speaking on that match, I mean, yeah, it was a great match. You guys put everything into the ring. Yeah, I hope that just the one loss doesn't keeps you going. I kind of want to talk about this little instant that you had in the back. You come back, you're kind of chilling. You jumped on to talk with Don a little bit on stream and commentary, and all of a sudden, somebody by the name of Dominic Stuckey decided to drop by and talk to you a little bit during the stream, and he mentioned that are you ready for him? Are you ready? What's going on? Why don't you explain to people a little bit about what you said to Dominic and what you're hoping will come about with this? I think I think it will certainly be a banger. I mean, I know you're kind of having a moment with them where you're like, "Hey, look, it doesn't have to be the Southeast. It doesn't have to be DWA. I can take you in the East. I can take you in the North. I can take you in the South, West, Colorado, wherever we need to do this at." You were kind of like, "It doesn't matter. I want to have a match with you. I know if I had this match with you, you beat them." Dom has been doing this for a minute. I know Dom's been doing it for a minute, and I know that Rico match ended on kind of a crazy note with the DQ finish. Do you feel? I guess I gotta ask is what type of arsenal do you expect to pull out if you did have this match with him in DWA? Like, what would you want to do, or what are you hoping to do in a match with Dom to prove that you can beat him? So I can definitely see what kind of match you guys are both going to have. I can definitely envision that of what y'all will both bring to the table for it. I I'm going to backtrack a little bit, but I want to talk about your friendship with Spectre. At Match Madness, Spectre, he got his win against Stunt Marshall and proceeded to, in the main event towards the end, attack Parker Lee. How did you feel about seeing that? And do you feel like that's affecting your guys' relationship at all? That he's trying to go after a championship? How does that feel to know that you have another friend besides Keelan Cole, who's WWE 4 champion, to have someone else who's trying to go for a championship? How does that feel for you going forward? So let me ask you this: if Spectre has this match at the next event at Slammo de Mayo, and he wins the DWA Heavyweight Championship, how I know you said that you're going to be happy because you want to see your friends go after championship belts and everything. Do you feel like you would pose a challenge to him? And if you aren't going to do that to strain your relationship, what about Keelan Cole? completely understandable. You want to see you and your friends succeed. That's what the whole goal behind this is, especially a brotherhood like that. I can see that you guys have this deep brotherhood to want to still be in the school of violence and achieve what you want to achieve. Um, I gotta ask too, as far as Keelan Cole goes, and what happened at Match Madness, where he was attacked by Blackjack Mac. You know, I nothing has been said yet, but if Keelan, if that match between Keelan and Neji turns into a three-way with Blackjack Mac getting added into that, who do you think is going to pull out the win from that? And if so, you know, how do you expect them to be champion wise if they do take the A4 championship? If you, okay, so you were talking about mind games, and speaking of someone who did mind games, honestly, you know, I wasn't too aware of it, but you know, Rico knew how to play some mind games. I mean, you even saw it Brawl at the Hall too. He had the little video where he was talking about, you know, he's held the A4 championship, he's held the internet championship for a good minute before that match. And as a champion, how do you feel about a champion getting into using the mind games that their own competitors are going to use? Do you feel like that's a cheap tactic, or do you feel like that's the best way to go about it as a champion going forward? So then we'll go into. I'll bring up another promotion at this point. We saw at WrestleMania on Sunday, Drew McIntyre versus Seth Rollins. Drew had won the championship belt, had it in his hands. No excuses this not time, no bloodline attacking him, no nothing, and decided to kind of take the belt and get into CM Punk's face with it. And that ended up costing him when Punk attacked him. Do you feel like feel like McIntyre was in the wrong to take that moment to gloat in Punk's face, or do you feel like Punk is in the wrong for causing McIntyre to now have another excuse about why he doesn't have the belt on him? Hmm. Yeah, definitely putting himself in a better light too now. You know, Damian Priest is going to definitely probably have his challengers. He's going to have his naysayers saying that, and that typically happens with the Money in the Bank contract. I mean, you see a lot of those guys who've cashed in on people, and they always call it a cheap win, and that's not fair. And that's kind of what Drew had even brought up last night. He said, you know, that's just, you know, I was worn out. I don't know why, but it just felt like it was the same thing again of the excuses coming out. And you know, I'm trying not to call him out too much about it, but it felt like it again that, you know, oh, woe is me, I didn't keep this belt because of somebody else affecting this. I love asking these WWE questions because, and any wrestling question whatsoever towards the end here, because it's always fun to have anyone who has an outside view look into it. With Cody Rhodes finally winning, finally finishing the story. Well, supposedly the story with Roman Reigns, not quite with The Rock. Who do you hope will challenge for the belt? Do you feel like there's anyone that you see in WWE right now that you hope steps up and decides to try to challenge Cody next for it? Who do you see, and just let us know why? Mm-hmm. That would be fun. I let's go ahead and I'm gonna go into basically my final question to you today, Troy. I gotta ask this: if Spectre beats Parker Lee at Suplex de Mayo on May 5th, and he gets that DWA championship, do you see a possible chance that you might want to challenge for that belt? And if you do, and you win, how are you going to feel about it? And what kind of champion would you be? Yeah, we've got a lot going on for Suplex de Mayo coming up on May 5th. Gosh, I hate to do it to you too. I know I said that was a fun question, but I gotta ask this too. Chainmail's group, speaking of the groups you guys have in the A4, Chainmail with this whole Apex that he formed and this whole stunt that he pulled at the Battle Royal and whatnot. How do you feel about this group? Do you see them as a challenger, even against the School of Violence? How do you feel about this so-called Apex? We will have to wait and see. Troy, thank you so much for being an awesome guest today. Thank you so much for letting everyone know your story and just kind of getting a gist of what it means for you to kind of get back into wrestling and your whole story these last 2 years. I cannot wait to see what you do next. I say it to anyone, regardless of what side of the fence that they're on, if they're the good guy, the bad guy, whoever it is, I want them to do the best because I know that they can do the best. Let's just jump over to me now. Troy, thank you so much. Real quick, just for everyone, can you just let everyone know where they can follow you at on social media and where they can see you next, wherever you're performing next? All right, well, let's flip over to me here now, guys. Guys, gals, everyone that has joined us today, thank you so much for another awesome episode of Ginger Pro Talk. That was an awesome guest with Troy Carter today. By the way, if you see this poster right next to my face right here, that is our next event that is happening on May the 5th. It is Suplex de Mayo. We are going to have a lot of crazy matches. If you've not had a chance to yet, make sure that you follow us on all of our socials. All of our social links are right here on our main page here at Action Show Studios. Sorry, I don't know why I burped there. Make sure you give us a follow there. We will keep everything up to date as far as what the next event is, what matches are coming up, so on and so forth. And I just want to say one last time, if you can, which will really help us out greatly, make sure that you give us a follow, make sure you give us a subscribe, and least but not all, if you guys want to, I have it right there on the screen, our special code given to us by W Energy. W Energy provides a genderless, no artificial ingredient, perfect energy blend for you. You can use it as a pre-workout drink. You can use it as a way to keep yourself focused during the day. And at the prices that they have, it's better than spending a super amount of money at Starbucks every time. Make sure you use the code that's on the screen, DWA for life, exclamation point. That is spelled DWA, the number 4, and then life, LYFE, exclamation point. You can use that code at checkout to get an extra 10% off. I want to say thank you again to Troy for taking the time to be able to talk with us today about his 2-year journey in the A4. And make sure you guys stay tuned because next week we're going to be talking with his fellow counterpart in the School of Violence, Spectre. And then even after that, our April of interviews is not going to stop because we will be talking with our everyone's favorite ref, Anthony Rivera. I'm sorry, I'm getting caught up on my words because I'm just way too excited. So make sure you guys stay tuned. Make sure we see you guys here next Tuesday at 6 p.m. I cannot wait for you guys to watch the next couple episodes. Thank you so much. Everyone, have a great night. And like Troy said, God bless you all. Bye.